Friday, January the 24th, 2020, and I'm down in Kent this week. Unlike the last walk when it was a nice cold frosty day, today we've got a grey damp day. It's just been drizzling, as you can see from the water on the surface, but luckily that's left off now. I'm about to undertake around about 8.5–9 miles circular of a walk I've done previously, albeit from Snodland. I'm going to do the circular version of this walk today, so cutting out what, 4 or 5 miles I suppose of the original walk, which is book 2, walk 17. I'm doing version A, the Soul Street circular. Yeah, like I say, it's quite mild, but grey and damp, so probably won't get much in the way of views today, but let's see, I might be surprised. So let's press on. It's about 12:30, 4.5 hours of daylight approximately left, so that should be plenty of time. So at the end of station approach you have the Railway Inn, which is the suggested tea time stop I believe on this particular walk, and the Snodland version. And also immediately opposite station approach you've got the onward journey through that wooden kissing gate, and that's a good start. I'm going to ignore that and press on, because I find that highways often leave these signs out when they shouldn't be left out. Parting view of the Railway Inn. So as I thought, I'm not sure why that footpath has got that closed sign there, but it hasn't caused me a problem. Right, so you've got two options here: half right, straight on, which the farmer's clearly marked out for us, well done. Half right is where we're headed, and as you can see, this walk is one of overhead pylons, if I recall, which is not good news, but that's life. Should have buried them when they were built, but chose a cheap option, as usual with this country. So it seems the footpath here at the far edge of the field is closed as well. That's the one leading to those works over there. So I guess that's what they're referring to. So take note of that if you're planning on doing this walk in the near future. So you come out into this lane, which as you can see is the Weald Way. Path I've often trodden in the past. So at this juncture here, take the sort of right hand version, continuing ahead really. So you're on the left hand side of the next field, overhead pylon again, which we pass under. See what I mean about Kent County Council? Once again, it's living up to its reputation with me. All the footpath posts that I've passed so far have been on the floor, broken, or in some other way disfigured. They really are hopeless. So having gone through the metal kissing gate, you come out into this attractive vista, which won't be for much longer, looking by these young saplings here. Not sure what they are, whether they're vines or potentially trees. They look like possibly vines to me. They're on a sunny south facing slope, so, well, not so sunny today. There is an inkling of brightness creeping through, which is what they forecast. Let's hope it continues. Our onward journey along the top edge of this field. The view here is even better. Looking up the valley towards Oakenden on the map, and as I suspected, those young saplings were vines. Seems to be a lot of vines being grown around this area now. Perhaps a reflection of global warming, adapting to the new climate. Certainly that's been the case over the last decade. Yes, I recall that building now over there. I do believe we passed that later at the end of the walk. There's a church over there somewhere as well, if I remember. So in that case, when I last did this walk 8 years ago, none of this was here. It's just a sheep grazing field, I believe. So interesting transformation. It's also interesting, these sapling stalks that they've used to support the wires. Not sure what tree it's from, but clearly it's expected to last a long time. Passing the Golden Lion referred to in the text. Possible early lunchtime stop. We now take this lane on the right up towards Great Buckland. Pub now behind or on your right. So I believe this is where we come off, having ascended up the lane. Talking to one of the farmhands down there. These timbers that support the vines are made from chestnut, and the vines, although actually facing kind of northerly, are 80% Chardonnay and able to cope. So they were set last year. So as I say, 8 years ago it was over the sheep, but now adaptations made, keep the old profits coming in. More vines recently set, so again the instructions might be slightly out of date, but I think the onward journey is obvious here. Straight on, I guess. Apparently these chestnut supports should last anything between 15-20 years. I suggested a decade, but no, I was wrong. Makes sense really. As more people become vegan, less lamb eaten, and still the same quantities of wine consumed. I need to buy French, make our own. Ignore this post on the right, but 25 metres further on, do take this one slightly uphill. Yeah, as I thought. Ludsden Church over there, which is a place that was doing teas on Sunday afternoons, I believe, when I last did this walk 8 years back. Anyway, more vines. Our onward journey is half left or almost north-northwest, if that was north. Not sure it is. Decent views back towards Ludsden and whence I've come. Text refers to a stile here. Obviously that's been replaced. Continue half left following the Weald Way, I believe, although there is a version right, which is partly confusing. Bit of wildflower meadow here, which is good to see in season. Now following Pat Wilson's trail, who lived to be almost a century old, 3 years short. Well done, Pat. Certainly a good advert for walkers. Well, as you can see, you can no longer cut across this field like you used to be able to, I believe, thanks to the vines. So I think it's straight on and left when we get to the end. I can see the cable running the distance that we're going to go under. Views of back, whence I've come. Now I wonder what effect these vines are going to have on the small invertebrates, and then by virtue of that the bird life, because obviously when it's sheep they create droppings. You get all sorts of flies and dung beetles and what have you eating their droppings, and then the birds eat the dung beetles. These vines create a whole new world of insects, don't they? I presume. Don't know what the fauna and flora are like with vines, but it does bring into question concerns about the deterioration in our invertebrates. I think another interesting variation to this walk could be created by walking through those woods over there on the North Downs Way / Pilgrims Way. Just a thought for the walk authors, but that would probably create around about a 10 miler, maybe more. Fairly tough section, half a k there, of muddy walking. Can't remember what this field was last time I crossed through it. There's no way that's an owl at this time of day. Anyway, yeah, I'll have to check the old film. Well, the good thing is that a lot of these stalls have been replaced. So here we are just outside Sallow Farm. Take the lower right here. As you can see, this is Lockyer's Hill. Passing by another oast. Early signs of primroses here, snowdrops here, which are already out in abundance up my way. Now entering the Woodland Trust's Tranquil Wood, although it doesn't sound very tranquil at the moment. Work's going on somewhere. Leave the lane behind us. Just entering Luxon Wood. I think this is the first style of the day. Not sure if that's a jay or a squirrel. Anyway, yeah, it could be squirrels. Walking through this decent woodland here, Luxon Wood. Bit of jet noise there in the background. Not sure where that's from. City Airport. So after that very pleasant woodland section, come out into the top right hand corner of this field. It's got grey again. The little bit of promise we had with the break in the cloud has dissipated. Decent vista there on my left, overlooking a small sewer farm. Now following the main route, point 3 of the text, having completed the alternative start. Don't go right here, continue through or past the horse blocking gate, which I'm not sure works, judging by the amount of horse prints on the mud behind me. But that section is a bridle way, so that's why it's all churned up. Here's one of those stupid kissing gates that you can't get through with your rucksack on your back. Absolute ridiculous. Look how much room they've got either side where they could have enlarged this. Whoever put the kissing gate up has got no idea of walking. Now following this bridle way, I believe. So more fun with the mud. Absolute quagmire. As you can see, horses have churned this up big time. Up past 2 now, aiming towards that timber house over there. Good to see some new trees being planted here. I think that's a new hedgerow being formed, which is brilliant. Just on the edge of Harvel now, village of. Nice oast conversion there in the corner of the green, which I do recall now. I think it was freezing cold last time I was here. Anyway, there is no church in this hamlet, I seem to recall, albeit there is a pub, which I probably won't go and film, courtesy of it being available easily now on Street View, Google, etc. 8 years ago it was a bit different. So I'll probably have my lunch here on the village green. So there you have it, a very rural imaged village sign there, reflecting its location. So since I was here last, got a new bench in loving memory of Bob Hind. So thank you, Bob. Not sure when you passed away, but clearly since I was last here. Rest in peace. It's 20 to 3. Three o'clock, lunch has been had, and whilst having it I noticed that the crocuses are coming up as well. Possibly slightly ahead of the snowdrops down here. Oops, excuse the slippage there. Anyway, it's a busy little village this. As I say, in the 20 minutes I've been sat here, quite a lot of traffic going through on a Friday. This is Dean Lane, where my onward journey continues. The Amazon and Tiger pub is on the main road there. Turn right at the top here of Dean Lane, next to the village pond. Come off Dean's Lane now, following this footpath over the stile. That's what I like to see ahead of next Friday, Brexit Day. Bit of patriotism. Pretty damp grey day now. Anyway, I have previously walked straight up that hill there opposite through the little woodland, but today we're going right along the edge of it over to the far corner of this field. Apparently pretty decent vista ahead of me now in the grey of Friday afternoon. Yep, still a few sheep left. Not yet fallen victim to the vines. But for how much longer, I wonder. That yellow marker on the tree to the left of this holly indicates our onward journey. View back whence I've come. Would be lovely on a nice spring day, wouldn't it? Bit of sunshine. Hey ho. Another pleasant section of woodland walking as the song thrushes start to emerge. Drowned out by the crows. One of the original footpath markers, now superseded by this. We're on a byway. And that thrush might have been a missile as opposed to a song. Missle's got a bit of a melancholy song to it. Byway continues up on the left. We branch off right here. There's a commemorative plaque here to that fella Pat Wilson, who actually died in 2014, I see now. So 2 years after I was last down this way. Don't know if you can read that. At this fork, continue on the right, not up towards the barns there. Temperature aside, could be in an Amazonian rainforest, what's left of them. Dripping at the moment from the precipitation in the air. Hence the analogy. Take a right here. There's no reference to this fence in the text, so I hope I'm still on the right track. Could have gone up since the text was written or amended though. Yeah, this brings back memories now. I've also checked the GPS. This is the right route. Comes out on a lane shortly, I believe. I wonder if I filmed that in my last video 8 years back. Phone numbers about that from that era. Crane's graveyard. Lovely red dogwood hedge, I believe. Looks great in winter. Gives the hedgerow a bit of colour. Decent views over on the right as I descend. Problem I have now is steam coming out of my mouth because of the temperature drop. Could get into the recording. Now, unusually at this time of year, there's a herd of cows in the field. Wasn't expecting that. Survived the cows. One of them actually took a run at me, but because I stood my ground, he backed off. So there's a lesson learnt. Young bullocks they are. Anyway, here's the cattle rounding up point, right in front of the kissing gate, which is handy. It's good to see that that farmer there is cutting hedges at the correct time of year, exactly as the PTES, People's Trust for Endangered Species, suggest. He is doing it via an automated method, but he's kept the hedge, he's cutting the dogwood at the top down, mind you. He's kept the hedge nice and thick at the base, angled towards the top. Good job, farmer. Decent vista of Ludds down there. We went up the other side of the valley, of course. We're on the edge of Meerpum, as you noticed. Or I think it's actually pronounced Mepham. I'm sure someone will correct me. They usually do. Turn right here into the hedge, utilising a kissing gate, no longer a stile, into yet another vineyard. And here's the vista that you get. Fantastic. As I say, it'll be interesting to see what impact these vines have on our flora and fauna. It's all well and good adapting, but I wonder what kind of flora and fauna they get in France, northern France, as a comparable. We're likely to get some new species, I should imagine. Make up for those that disappear. There's the pylon tower referred to in the text on my right over there. We're going through this gap in the hedge over the stile. So here we are back at Ludsden. And as I commented before, I believe, looks like the same farrier, I guess, these days makes these, does he? Blacksmith? Don't know. Whoever. Looks like the same person's made the Ludsden village sign, or hamlet sign. Just outside St Peter and St Paul. There she blows. Lovely little place. That's as near as I'm going today due to declining light. Passing what is now the village hall, but I believe it used to be the old school. So stood next door to the former Victorian school, and as you can see our onward journey up the hill is clear. Looking back at the former school, which has now witnessed a changing hillside over the years. Wonderful little hamlet that. Past this bench this morning. This time we go straight ahead. This morning we went down that way. Sounds like a cockerel. Up past 4 now, so would be sunset if there had been any. So around about half an hour walking time left now. This is Sol Street direction. Here we've got the very newly sown vines. The company's called Vineyard Farms, I seem to recall somewhere. The Cock Inn, possible early tea time stop. Lovely robin song there. Take this path between Henley Street and Gold Street, which I notice could be blocked. Those workers are ahead of me. So there's the workings. Not sure what they're doing. Workers are long since gone, mind. As with the walk the other day down in, God, I can't even remember where it was. Manning tree, that's it. Footway closed board is still there, although it shouldn't be, to be honest with you. Passing the railway in. And so back to Swanley, Sol Street, which my train does go via Swanley. Anyway, very nice walk that, albeit very muddy today, dismal weather-wise, but very pleasant. Brought back some memories in the latter half. I do think there's possibilities for other derivatives of that walk though, as I said earlier in the walk, so that needs looking into. I made that version 8.5 miles and 3 hours 50 minutes later. Very tough going in places though, couldn't get any speed up. Anyway, not to worry. So that's book 2, walk 17A, completed, or updated for the second part. I do think it works better actually as a Sol Street circular, bearing in mind the industrial start to Snodland. Just my opinion though. Anyway, until the next time.